Hey, welcome back to another exciting, head scratching episode of Insane Disappearances. Oh, yeah, I think I turn my hat to the back and my shorts keep sagging so they can see my face, my beautiful face, my handsome face. Okay, guys, tonight is basically just going to be my thoughts about a certain topic that hit the YouTube waves a couple of months ago. I am going to be talking about a very exciting subject. Our atmosphere. Yes, people, our atmosphere. And how they said it is actually way larger than we actually expected. Raises a lot of questions, doesn't it? Civilian questions, not government questions. Okay? Government questions, they involve government answers, which will spill out to the public, which would mean these government answers are just fabricated lies, because everything that comes from them is basically half truths and whole lies. So you really can't trust anything they say, especially when they start talking about how big the atmosphere of our Earth actually is. Now, the other part about this is saying that our actual moon and our sun is within this atmosphere, but it's in a darker layer of the atmosphere. Now, that part they didn't say. I don't think so. They didn't say there was a darker layer. I said that. That's right. I said it. Now, if anybody that watches my show heard me say that in any part of one of these videos that I have posted, then you know that I already knew about it. Think about it. I already knew, yet all of a sudden, boom, something comes out on something comes out on YouTube talking about the corona. Okay, now, if I didn't mention it here, I may have mentioned it in maybe a comment section on Facebook, or I may have talked to some of my other friends who have a very broad or broadened mind like myself. But like I said, if I didn't mention it on my channel, you already know that I mentioned it way before I said anything about the video that has been put out there in YouTube. And I actually linked it on one of the videos that I have posted. If you have watched one of those videos, you know there's a link on there talking about the corona. Now, if you don't remember, I will find it. I will post it again, maybe on this video in the description box. Okay? So, now, getting back to the big corona and how they put it out there saying that it is actually larger than we expected. This is what NASA is probably saying, or the scientists that work for our government is saying. Raises a lot of questions. Here's mine. Now, our government has said they have been to the moon. They have put probes around and on and around planets that we can't seem to get to with rockets because we don't have enough fuel to reach that far. We'd actually have to be put to sleep. Then we just kind of coast in that direction with ionic energy. But they don't have the resources to do that, because at some point we'd have to wake up and eat before our body dies. This is what they're saying. Now, the other parts, that's probably what I would think would happen, logically. But I'm not a logic thinking person. I am an illogical thinker. But see, illogical thinking is actually a more realistic way of thinking. But anyway, my whole process with this whole Earth thing, the corona, the atmosphere. Now, they put it out there like as if they didn't know that the Earth had a larger atmosphere than they expected. There has been a lot of talk about, did they go to the moon? Yes, they did. No, they didn't. Yes, they did. No, they didn't. They're clashing. They've been clashing for years. I believe now that they have not been to the moon. Because, okay, let's just look at it like this. I would think they would be able to get there if they were able to fly up there. But here's my thing. If you've been into space, you should have known that there was a larger area of our atmosphere above the moon and the sun. You should have known that. If you got probes reaching outside of the Earth and going into space to go to Jupiter, think about it. If you got probes that go past the Earth, I would think you would know that there was a larger portion of the atmosphere above the blue part. Right? So how is it that this is news to your behind? Think about it. I've already said that they ain't never been into space. Once again, I already talked about that part. So, if you have been into space, sent probes to these other planets, how in the hell is it that you did not know that there was a darker layer or a larger layer of the atmosphere? So, I ask you this. If that's the case, and you didn't know, that means you ain't never been into space, right? That means you didn't know that there was a larger layer of the atmosphere. Because obviously, you haven't even been past the atmosphere. So that means you don't even know what the Earth looks like. I've already said this. You see, people? I had to get dressed up for this because this is a special moment. The government has lied to you. Of course, you already knew that, but you doubted it because of all this new stuff that keeps coming out and keeps leaking from the government. But the major thing about all of this, these people ain't even been outside the atmosphere. See, this got me jittery because, I've been saying this for a long time. That means they lied. They lied their asses off. See, a lot of questions kind of arise when people's minds have been opened. If you have been showing us all these pictures from space, okay, you got probes going to Pluto and all this stuff, yet your ass didn't know that there is a larger part of the atmosphere to our Earth. How is it you didn't know that? Was it obviously not that important enough for you to know this because you so focused on everything going in this direction? You had tunnel vision. Your goal was to see what's out there. You weren't worried about what our Earth looked like. But you had to let us think that you knew what the Earth looked like, so you started sending out all these darn pictures. So that means if you don't know what the Earth looks like, but you showing us photos of stuff that you think what the Earth looks like, that means all that crap is a lie. You don't know what the Earth looks like. So, ladies and gentlemen, for the first time ever, I am giving you a seed into your mind. And it's going to bloom into the ultimate truth. Your government don't know shit. They telling you all this stuff, showing you all these so-called photos. You know they can make shit up, right? So they made up everything that they have ever showed us on TV. What space looks like, what this looks like, what that looks like, what that stuff over there looks like. That makes you wonder, how is it that they're able to do that? How is it that they're able to have all of this tech to show you all these colorful nebulas and Cepheids and what the image of a black hole looks like from the distance, from a distance, as it swallows up a star, atom by atom, dust by dust, inch by inch. Ladies and gentlemen, the seed has been planted tonight. Your government doesn't know shit. How is it that the news of the atmosphere being bigger than ever than you thought is news to your ass? If you've been out there, you got probes going here. I remember there was when they claimed that the first probe went into space. They said they looked back and saw a blue dot in the distance from the moon or from Jupiter or whatever. Okay, so if it was that big, obviously, if the atmosphere is larger than what it is, what's this blue part you talking about? You know about that part, but you don't know about that part. You finding this out. You should have known this if you've been past the Earth. You should have known this if you got probes that can turn around just so you can see what the Earth looks like. What the actual part of the Earth looks like if you've been past the atmosphere. So that means every single spacewalk your ass has done, and I'm talking about Armstrong, I'm talking about all these dudes. Y'all was inside of the atmosphere in a darker layer that you obviously thought was space. But if you was in space, you would see stars behind you, right? Obviously, that part of the atmosphere must be pretty dense. Too dense for the clarity to come through. Enough for you to see sparkly things, stars from the distance. It's the resolution. That's what it is. If we can see with our own eyes with telescopes here on the planet, on the crust, the cameras that they're using might not have enough resolution, have enough power to see all the sparkles from the distance. Because think about it. If we're in a darker layer, all the stars from beyond our atmosphere is pretty far out. So that means that dark part is so big and so high up where we are. We're like here. So, okay, let's just say we're here. This is the top of the blue part of the atmosphere. They would be like maybe here, hovering above it, you know, with the space station here, a probe here. No, not a probe, but a satellite here, another satellite over here, but the space station is here. Then you got, what's that thing, you know, the Hubble Space Telescope over here, which is still up there for some reason. I don't know why. They said they were going to decommission it and they were going to bring it down, but they didn't. It's still up there taking pictures. Why is that? You taking pictures of shit that you can't even see. Yeah, you still showing us stuff on what it looks like. You probably see blurs, but you got enough technology to brighten stuff up, color it up, make it look like this. Then you just blow it up some more. Then you make it get sharper. Technology gets better, so you get sharper and sharper and sharper. And you see all these things. Oh, look at that. You see a puffball. You blow it up. This puffball got another puffball in it. Oh my gosh. It's the birth of a planet. Motherfucker, please. You don't even know what that shit look like. Because you want to know why? Because you don't even know what your own planet looks like. That means your ass ain't been into space. Right? So why are you showing people images of the Earth if you don't know what the actual atmosphere looks like? Raises a lot of questions, don't it? Y'all got some questions to answer. That's right. You got to answer the public now. You got to answer. You got to tell these people, why is it that y'all didn't know what the actual atmosphere looks like? How is it that you just finding out that the atmosphere is a lot bigger? That means your asses really ain't been in space. You ain't even been to the moon. And if you've been to the moon, you ain't been past it, but I know you ain't been to the moon. Because you thinking that this part right here that you looking down on from the moon is the actual atmosphere. But it ain't. What's beyond the moon and the sun is the atmosphere. That means you got to go past that. But you don't know what that looks like. You just finding out that that was the atmosphere. So that means anything beyond that, you don't even know what it looks like. That means the planets, like Mars, all that shit. You don't know what it really looks like because you ain't never seen it. How could it? It's too far away. So you really don't know what the surface looks like. You just made all that shit up. Everything y'all been told people was a lie. The stuff you see on the Science Channel is a lie. You want to know why? Because they ain't seen it. Ain't even know, they don't even know what the atmosphere looks like. See this guy, boy. See, I'm so jittery. I'm happy. I'm jittery because everything I've been telling y'all has been coming true. But it starts to make more questions rise. Why don't they know that? Because they ain't been in the space. That means they don't even know what our own planet looks like. They really don't. So none of the shit they've been showing you is the truth. They made that shit up. And if they got images of it, it ain't sharp enough for them to see. So they had to make whatever it looked like up. They wanted to create what it looks like from their own imagination. And they're getting pretty good at it with all this CGI. Like, okay, if you ever watched the show called How the Universe Works, they always have these images that they, when they show a picture of what something looks like, they'll show an animated version of how a star's born, and then they show all these colorful streaks and nebulas and how it looks up close and the 3D images and all that stuff. They actually create that shit. They show you what it looks like from their own imagination. They blow it up. So that means they really don't know what the fuck it look like. So they have to create the imagination of what they think it may look like because it's too far away. Telescopes may show you what it looks like from a distance, but you don't know what it looks like up close and personal. So that means you have to have the kind of eyesight that can see what something looks like from a billion miles away. You have to have the special eyesight to do this. I mean, you have to zoom in from way down there, from here. Your eyes would have to be able to do that itself. You would have to see what it looks like. So that's why you have to imagine. Okay, I see a black line. I see some red around it. That could be the gas that is shooting out from the inside because of how hot it is. Okay, but so what's the inside looks like? So there's got to be dust, a lot of dust. You got to see what the bright stuff is. It could be stuff clashing together, they just making shit up. Shit, man, it's a lie. Y'all know they lie, but now they really lie because they mean they ain't even been in space. All this shit they're making up. So, my people, my YouTube people, you know I do nothing but tell you the truth. You know I do nothing but seek the truth. So, if what they're saying is true, if they just finding out that the atmosphere is larger than they expected, that means they don't know what the Earth looks like. They ain't even been outside of the atmosphere to even know that it is larger. See, I told you. I've been saying it. You know I have, because you watch my shows, you watch my videos. You know. And I'm just so giddy right now. Oh my goodness, I'm just happy. I'm real happy because I've been saying it. Shit. I'm just saying, man, look, I'm all puffed up now. Got my chest popping out. Because I've been telling y'all. Shoot, this is more than just people who disappear in national parks. This is the truth getting out without it actually getting out because people are just figuring this shit out. I figured it out. I've been thinking about that a lot. So if you don't know what it looked like, that means you never been in space. Nothing that you claim you put in the space ain't never been in the space for you even not to know. How you gonna just have tunnel vision and just keep going without even wanting to realize what the actual atmosphere looks like if you know you ain't never been outside of it? You thought you was, but you said, okay, we gotta go further. Okay, wait, no. I see it. See that? Look, that's the actual edge. Oh my gosh, we gotta get past that. We gotta see what that looks like. We gotta go high enough, so we gotta send a probe high enough so we can see, a satellite, so we gotta do all that. We gotta know. But they ain't done it. Wanna know why? Because they can't. I can tell you that, but you still might not believe it. There's a video out there. They said some kind of a gate of some kind that's blocking the actual atmosphere. They claim they built to keep out the aliens. That's a bum-faced lie. You want to know what it really is? It's a barrier called a quantum bubble or a quarantine bubble that was put around the Earth's atmosphere to keep people like destructive governments like ours, after they saw the atom bomb drop, an atom bomb given to them by Albert Einstein of all people. Once they saw that, they said, oh no, you ain't bringing that out here, no. So they put that thing around the atmosphere so they can stay away from the other planets, because they already talking about colonizing freaking Mars. They ain't even seen what it looked like yet. They saw what it looks like from a distance, but they ain't seen what it looked like up close. Y'all might end up being just on fire right now. I'm happy. Just see what I'm saying? It's got all these questions coming up. Dang it. I'm just saying. Shit. Man. I'm sorry, guys. It's just that I'm just saying all this shit I've already been saying. But all you heard was what it really was. You didn't think. I bet you didn't think it was going to cause that kind of a question to pop up. But now you know, because you got told by me. Insane disappearances. Yes. People. That is today's news of today. I hope that what I told you and what questions it made me think of made you understand that every single thing you've ever been told by your government is an outright lie. I got that from Jim Carrey, you know, when he played the Riddler, you know, he said, "And a God am." Oh, I was like, I love that movie. That was actually my very favorite. That was my most favorite Batman movie because it was colorful, it was flashy. I like flashy stuff, like the Flash, Superman. And now Aquaman. Now that my homeboy from the Polynesian Islands, Aquaman, Mr. Hawaiian man that married old girl from the Cosby Show. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You know what I'm saying? Little movie. So now I can respect Aquaman a lot more because I hated his character. It just didn't. I mean, when you were a kid looking at the Super Friends at that age, it's still so cool, especially when you get the action figures. I had them all. I had Superman was my favorite because my mama, she knew I loved Superman. Superman, out of all the action figures, was my all-time favorite. All-time favorite. Even though because it was flashy, it was colorful, and just the fact he had all those powers, and the fact that you could hold it in your hand, you make it fly. That was just the one thing about being a kid, and you had the action figure in your hand. You just imagine every second of your life that at one point, even though you got your finger or your fingers on the legs, on the feet, and you just making it fly, you just hoping one day that when you let it go, that's just gonna take off and just start flying like Superman. I'm telling you. Or you become the eyes of that action figure. You flying around. You going like this. I was thinking that at the age of 4. Probably younger than that. Because I remember having Superman. I had Spider-Man. I even had, my favorite, Dr. Fate. That was my all-time favorite one. Because, there was just something about it. It was colorful. The yellow and the blue, which is actually like a golden, yellow. In like a sky blue color. It was just nice flashy outfit. It had the cape. I love any action figure with a cape. And my little cousin, who's the same age as me, or maybe about a year older, maybe, or a couple of months, actually. Born in the same year, different month. June, December. So you get the picture. So, she broke the legs off. So I had a one-legged Superman gonna do. Hey, I was a kid. But yeah, so just saying. I loved it. I loved those characters. I loved the action figures. I'm a kid at heart. So this is another thing about insane disappearances. I'm a kid at heart. I love to learn about things that you can't read in a book. That's me. I love to meditate. And I'm one of them people that meditate so much that you actually catch on to something that you want to hold on to. When your mind opens up, you want to keep it open. You want to just let all this new information just flood in. And it feels like an abundance amount of just like, energy waving through your body. But when your mind opens up and you start seeing a lot more, your perception on reality and life itself, your own life, and you start seeing things in a different way, in a way that you can't process. It doesn't make you feel like, oh, I know much more than you now. It just feels like, okay, they really don't know. They should know, but they really don't know. They really don't. So, I would love to be that person that gives you that option to find out any information that you did not know. That's why I did the live shows. So if you watch the videos, you see what I was talking about. If you was on the live show, you understand what I'm talking about. Now the last one I did with the speaker, that was going to be the last one because of what's happened. So anyway, but yeah, I love those action figures. I love it. And as far as all that other stuff, in the government lying to us in a very big way, meaning you never even been into space, and just the fact you was in the dark layer doesn't count. You have to go above the dark layer. Now, once again, you heard it here, folks. This is the one thing they did not tell you about. They just said that it is larger than they expected. Now, I have to read a little bit more just to make sure they didn't actually say that, because if I'm saying it now, that means you never heard it. Now, if you read about it, if they said something about it in the interviews, or like what you may have seen on the internet, in the news clips that may pop up, if they said it, then okay, they did. If they didn't, you heard it here, folks, because I don't remember them saying anything about it first, because I would think they would say that there's a darker layer. From what I read at first, all they said was the atmosphere is bigger than expected. Now, in the portion where you have to read everything what they said, it may say that. So I'll admit, didn't read too much into it, but I still knew before I read about it. That's the whole point. I knew about it before I read about it. And if I mention it at any time to anyone, like in the comment section, if we were talking back and forth about a comment about what I talked about in the videos, and I started talking about a lot of different stuff, I may have mentioned that part. Okay? Or if you have talked to me on Facebook message, I have mentioned that part. I kind of broke some things down. Now, if you a person that I personally talk to on the phone or text on the phone, I have done that as well. I have broken that down. So, I may have shared it with some people in the comment section as well. I may have shared it on my videos. I am not too sure. I've done so many in the past 7 years of me doing my YouTube channel. So, it's kind of hard to kind of keep up every once in a while. But I have a very, very, very huge feeling that I did mention that at one point. So if any of you have watched the entire video and have paid attention to my, I just know, I feel in my inner being that all of this has happened. I might have mentioned it. So, like I said, if I did, you heard it here, folks. There is a darker layer of, beyond the blue layer of the atmosphere. That layer is the part where they have always been in. The space station, where they do the spacewalks, all of this stuff. That is the reason why you never see the stars in the background. I believe the resolution of the camera cannot pick up the bright lights from that distance. Because if you're in the black layer, that means you're only this high up from the blue part, because you thought you was already in space. You thought this was just the edge of the atmosphere, and after that you're in space. This is outer space. Beyond the blue, below the blue layer is inner space, or somewhere in between the blue layer and the half of the black layer. That's still inner space, and then once you reach complete blackness, that's outer space. So they'll probably be like right here, which is where the space station will be. It's floating above the earth, just moving around. The same thing with the satellites and the whole space telescope and the space shuttles moving around the blue layer. You're still here in the black layer of the atmosphere. You haven't even been this high up. Unless you claim you're going to the moon, which you have not done. Everybody knows that now. You haven't even been past the moon because you claim you ain't got enough fuel to get that far. So that means you didn't think or didn't know that this was just the beginning. Okay? So if you've been that far, and if a guy I mentioned before named Randy Kramer claimed he'd even been to Mars, he would have known that too. He would have even said it in the video if he was talking about all this stuff he did on Mars. Now I know that he didn't. My motherfucker. You know, I'm just saying, I don't want to do that. No. Seriously though, he lied. Okay? They don't even think or didn't know that this right here is just the beginning of the atmosphere. Okay? After the blue part, there's still more. You got a black part that goes higher than you ever expected. Past the freaking sun. So that means our own sun is in our atmosphere. How in the hell can the earth spin if the atmosphere is way out there? No, you got two large bodies in it. Think about it. That's simple physics. Two large objects cannot occupy the same space at the same exact time. That's simple physics. So that means you made something up within physics. You got two large objects within the atmosphere of our planet. So why would the planet have to spin? Now, I've said this before too. Once before. I may have said it on my channel in the past. I may have said it on my phone to some people that I talk to and I text. Some of them I call my students. And some of them call me teacher. But I have mentioned that before as well. So here it is, folks. Once again, we have a darker layer above the blue layer. They've only been halfway into the black layer, but they didn't realize that that was the black layer of the atmosphere. They thought they was in space, people. These are our government, okay? They're the ones that have all the answers, so they say. But then think about it. If they got all the answers, why is it they don't want to give us the answers? But yet, they didn't know that we have a larger layer of the atmosphere that goes beyond the earth. They goes beyond the sun and the moon. So once again, what does that tell you, folks? They ain't been into space. They were still in the black layer of our atmosphere. But like I said, I hope if they didn't mention that part, they might have to now. Now that I don't open up my mouth. I'm just saying. They want to talk about that part. Why didn't they talk about the black layer? They just said the atmosphere was a lot larger. So that means all that area that you thought was space, anything beyond that you can catch from a camera that's supposed to be coming from the space station, all that is the blackness of our atmosphere. We thought that part was space. Well, they thought it was, and they showed it to us, making us think that's what it was. But it was actually our atmosphere, people. All that blackness out there that you see is the atmosphere. That is not space. So why is it you can't see the stars beyond that as much? You can. You see with your own two eyes when you're looking up. But those cameras show that you can't see past that black layer. I'm just saying. You can see more with your own two eyes than anything. And I'm going to tell you this. If I didn't already say it, I'm saying it right now. Jupiter has two red spots. I saw it with my own two eyes with my high-power telescope. No lie. How is it they can tell you that Neptune or Uranus ended up with a second storm that occurred either on I believe the same storm that occurs on Jupiter occurred in the same spot in Neptune or in Uranus, and they said another one appeared, I believe, at the polar portion of the planet, and they said it lasted for about maybe a couple months and then disappeared. Now, at the time when I heard about this, about the big red spot when I was growing up, they said it had been running and spinning and active. Okay, there's a better word. It had been active for 300 years. I was maybe a young teen or maybe probably in the 9th grade. I don't know what grade I was in. I know I heard it when I was younger. And they said it had been active for 300 years. Now, I'm looking at Jupiter myself. above my house, through the lens, squinting my eyes, trying to catch every part of Jupiter that I can with my eyes before Jupiter starts to move that way. And I don't mean because we're spinning. I mean because Jupiter actually orbits around us from the distance that it's at. Another thing they ain't told you yet. You want to know why? Because they ain't been into space. They don't know that. But I do. You want to know why? You got to watch my live show. Then you'll find out. It's on there. You'll find out. Anyway, like I said, everything I said is the truth. So, anyway, I have to go. If you want to know more, and you want me to tell you some more, I will tell you. But as of right now, you know the truth about all of that. If you haven't been into space. I mean, if you have been into space, you, my friend, the government, would have known that our atmosphere is actually larger than you expected. You would have known that for ages. You would have known that for decades. You would have known that for years. And if you ask me, I think you did. I think you did know. So how is it that you can find out about all that stuff beyond our atmosphere if you didn't know how large the atmosphere was? You doing all your spacewalks on the space station in a black layer that you thought was space because you was going above the blue layer of the atmosphere, but you was actually still in the atmosphere. Everything beyond that, when you can see in the distance and see nothing but blackness, that's what you're seeing. You're seeing nothing but our atmosphere. So that means all of what you're supposed to be seeing, the stars and the other nebulas and all that stuff, how is it that you can't see it in the camera, but we can see it with our own two eyes with a telescope if you're looking in the sky at the right moment? That's another thing. Mainly it's because the resolution of the camera cannot pick up what is beyond the black layer. It shows that the black layer is so large, it cannot see past it. It doesn't have the capability, the power, unless you're using something like the Hubble Space Telescope, which is, I think, the reason why we get those images, because it can see past the black layer. But how far can it see enough for it to be that sharp? I think they just made up how it looked because it's so blurry. They try to say that they now have the technology and the correct type of lens in order to make the images sharper, more colorful, more brighter, so you can see what everything looks like from a distance. Like that cluster of galaxies that you see above the so-called Milky Way. I said so-called, but that's a whole different story. I don't think that's the Milky Way. I'm not Milky Way, I'm sorry. The Big Dipper, I'm sorry. I meant the Big Dipper. There's a huge cluster of galaxies they claim. It's just, they say it's above the Big Dipper. Okay? Now, I'm not going to say they don't have the technology to blow something up, but for you to even realize and see how sharp and clear all those galaxy clusters are, yet you don't know what our atmosphere looks like. How is it that you always seem to look beyond the atmosphere because you're so focused on that, but you never seem to look back just to see what the atmosphere look like, except for that one time you saw a tiny little dot, or that one time you claimed you was on the moon and you saw the clouds of the earth and everything in the blue sky and all that stuff, but you didn't realize that the atmosphere was larger than you expected. If you got probes going into space to see what Jupiter looked like, how is it that you didn't know that the atmosphere was larger than you expected? How did you know that? Why would you just keep going and not even worry about how the earth looked? Are you that desperate to find out what's going on out there that you don't even realize that your planet Earth has an atmosphere larger than what you thought it was looking like, because you could see the blue layer, but you couldn't see the black layer. Because why? Because it's black. But you didn't know that. How is that? You want to know why? Because you ain't been in space. So how could you know about all that other stuff? You don't even know what the planets look like. You ain't been out there. You see a blur from a distance. But all these images where you see them up close and everything, y'all made that shit up because you wanted to see what it looked like. Y'all talented. You know what a planet should look like, so you create all this shit on it to make it look so big. I'm telling you, it ain't nothing but a bunch of fucking lies, man. Think about it. If I think about all these questions, because they can't, they just finding out that the atmosphere is larger than they expected. They don't know what the Earth look like. They ain't never seen it. They ain't never been outside of it. Outside of the atmosphere. They thought they was outside the atmosphere, but they weren't. I'm just saying. And once again, I already mentioned that way before that video even came out. Way before I ain't know nothing about it. But once again, my people, my YouTube family, truth is out. And now the questions begin. Now they're gonna try and create an expedition to the edge of our actual atmosphere. And what are you gonna see? Nothing, because you can't get past that anyway. There's a barrier there. It won't let you get past it. Now, here's what's gonna happen. They'll talk about it. They'll say, we're gonna take an expedition to get to the edge of our actual atmosphere. We're gonna see what's there. And possibly, if they're going full throttle, it just might explode if they're going to act like they don't know there's a barrier at the edge of the actual portion of the atmosphere. Now, they're going to come up with all kinds of scientific names for that. Saying that probably saying that the magnetic field is the actual barrier beyond the actual atmosphere. Now, as far as I know, they said that it has one. They never said where it actually began. They always just said that we have a magnetic field. They never actually said exactly where did the magnetic field start. Where did it start at? And if you going past the atmosphere, you would know exactly where the magnetic field begins. Now, if the magnetic field is right at the tip of the actual atmosphere, that means if you were here, this right here is not the magnetic field. Okay? This area above this part, which is supposed to be the blue layer, is not the magnetic field. This is the black layer of the atmosphere. Once you go out to the part where you claim the actual edge of the atmosphere ends, that would be where the magnetic field begins. But think about it. That portion is supposed to be beyond where the sun is. So if you're saying that the Earth's magnetic field is being blasted by solar rays, how is it that it's being blasted by solar rays if that right here is supposed to be the edge of the atmosphere? If the edge of the atmosphere is being blasted by the solar rays, it's supposed to go beyond the sun. That's what I'm thinking, right? Because that's not the edge of the atmosphere. So there's no magnetic field here. The magnetic field is supposed to be there, beyond the sun, if the sun is supposed to be within the actual portion of the atmosphere. And anything beyond that, if there's a magnetic field there, that's where it begins, right here. This is the blue part, okay? This beyond where my hand is supposed to be the magnetic field, because that's where the black portion of the atmosphere ends, and that's where the magnetic field begins. So that means that area right here between the black layer and the magnetic field is the edge of this portion of the atmosphere. That's where that's where it ends, and that's where this begins. So how is it that we're being blasted by solar rays with a magnetic field that is blocking our atmosphere? Maybe it stretches out to just that far. Maybe it stretches from the blue layer all the way out to the black layer. Maybe that whole area is part of the magnetic field. I don't know. Those are questions that need to be answered. And they have to answer it if they know what's good for them. Just saying. Because they're going to get bombarded with a lot of questions from the science community. Because their scientists are saying this. What about the ones that work at Caltech? What about the ones that be on those science shows on the Science Channel? Like How the Universe Works. Or even that channel where they do all those crazy stunts to try and figure out how things work scientifically. Can't remember the name of that show because I stopped watching the Science Channel about like 3-4 years ago because, they're a bunch of liars. And now you see why. Because they ain't never been outside the atmosphere. Not even the scientists who build the probes and the satellites. It's crazy, man. See, these are the questions that's going to come up in the science community. So, if this is what we've been telling people, what the fuck are we going to tell them now? I'm just saying. We've been telling them this stuff for years. And now you're trying to tell me that, we have, the atmosphere is actually larger than we expected. So they're going to know that we ain't been in space. Because they know they ain't been there. Think about it. They know they ain't been in space. Shit. Please. They're the ones that made up that damn thing. Because see, they didn't want us to think they ain't been in space. So they made up the lie about going into space. They thought they was in space. Anything beyond the blue area, the blue layer of the atmosphere, is space. But yet, when you looking at you doing your spacewalks from a camera that's picking up everything from where you at and anything beyond you and behind you, all you see is blackness. That's because it's so thick and so far out. You can't see anything beyond that because the resolution is not good enough for you to see or pick up anything that bright from that far out. That's why. But you can see with your own two eyes with a telescope. But you can't see it through that little low pixelated camera. It's cheap because they figured they didn't need one. Or they did that so we wouldn't see all that. If they could pick it up, they'll know that it's just that far out. Little things they don't want you to know because they don't want you to think that there is a darker layer. Or they don't want you to think the stars are so far out that we can't see it from that distance. And if we can't, that's because of that. Because the dark layer is that far out. It's so far out, it actually blocks the resolution of the stars from a low pixelated camera. You see nothing but darkness. But with the Hubble Space Telescope, you can because it's highly pixelated. It's powerful. It has a very powerful lens, so it can see out there, but it can only see but so far. That's why all the images were blurry. But what did they do? They claimed they had the technology to clean up all the blur. So they said they had the technology to let you see what it actually looked like. Here's what they really trying to show you. That they had the capability of creating something from imagination. All you see is a blur. So you look at the shape of it and you create some high pixelated, sharp, bright, colored thing to make it look like a nebula of what you think it looks like. So you say, okay, it looks like this, looks like that, and then you got tiny little red particles that look like clouds, and you start to see, behind it, you see the blackness of space behind it. So you create the illusion of, how it's transparent, because it's just, they're so far apart, it looks like you can see straight through it. They create all of that stuff. People are very intelligent. And tricky, but intelligent. So, that's what I'm saying, people. They did that because they don't want you to know about all these things. They don't want you to know that they've been into space. But now I think they're trying to let you know that they haven't been into space. But I don't think they think that someone's gonna start asking questions. I started asking questions the minute you posted that because I've been doing it. I talked about it already. I was just waiting to see what you were gonna say. So you started out by saying the atmosphere is actually larger than we realize. But did you expect someone to start saying, okay, so if you didn't realize all these decades that the atmosphere was larger than you expected, that means you don't even know what the atmosphere looks like. You don't know if it has clouds. You don't know nothing. So if that means you don't know what the atmosphere looks like or how far it went, that means you ain't been in the space. So you don't know what all the crap you've been showing us. You've been lying the entire fucking time. You don't know one of that. You don't know what any of that stuff looks like. All you saw was blurs. But what did you do? You used your high-tech technology to clean it up to make it look the way it did. Just like how they did with Pluto. They saw it from a distance, so they cleaned it up with high-tech technology. CGI made it look all sharp and glossy from a distance with the sun beaming on it from way out here. I mean, come on, give me a fucking break. Anybody can figure that out, and they will. And you guys are gonna have to answer a lot of questions to the public, and possibly to some of your constituents. Who knows? The government is coming down as we speak, my friends. That's a huge admittance. That means everything they've ever said to us was an outright lie. But anyway, once again, I'm gonna, you know how I do. I like to, if I get something, I gotta say it. So that's what I did. I wanted this to be something very special for you guys, for you to really open up your mind to, and realize that your government is lying to you. So, and you hear all of the three-dimensional aspects of this one big problem. So there you go. Just saying. Now I give the information to you, then you can ponder it yourself, and you be like, oh my gosh. Everything they've ever told us, a complete lie. Oh. What do we do now? We don't listen to them no more. They don't know what they're talking about. I mean, they do know what they're talking about. They ain't gonna tell us that. That's the problem. They're lying to us. They don't want us to know what we already know. But see, we are waiting for them to confirm it. That's the problem. We already confirmed it by believing in it and realizing that it's real. Especially the ones that have had abductions. I know that stuff is real. And so does the person that had the experience. I've had one. Just didn't realize until like maybe, I don't know, maybe a year or so later when it just kind of hit me. I was like, whoa. And then I saw something else within it. But I don't know what else happened after that. I don't think I'm supposed to see that part. But it happened at my job. Yes, it did. I don't know why. I know they can do some very strange things. But everybody's experience is totally different. So if a person says, well, that shouldn't have happened because of this, that did happen one time before, but respectfully, I was like, well, sir, you had to be there, basically. So that's what I'm saying. But anyway, yes, my people, outright lies. Oh my gosh. So without further ado, I am going to leave you with that. I'll let you ponder. And hit me up in the comment section if you have a exploding mind emoji coming through. You'll realize that I have been telling the truth the entire time. For 7 years, my friends. 7. I knew even before that, but I'm just saying, now it's clarifying itself right in front of us with this video about the corona. Now, if you want me to find it, I will. And I will repost it so you guys will know what I'm talking about. If you haven't heard it, you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it on my channel, I will make sure I will put it in the description box below this video right here. Okay, and just make sure you like and subscribe. Tell your friends about me. You know how I do. I like to blow up with everybody who wants to or needs to know the truth. So bring them on in, my friends. Bring them on in, and I will be the new voice of the ultimate truth. And of course, I'm quite colorful and stylish, ain't I? Just love it. I just had to change my wardrobe a little bit. It's just, I feel so much more lighter now. Anyway, Energy is at peace. My inner being is calm and is telling me all of the things that need to be said for all of my friends of YouTube, all of my fans, all of my loved ones. So I am so happy to have been connected with my inner being for all of this to happen. So you guys are getting the blunt force of the information that needs to be told. Government has lied to you. I do not say this to be funny. I say this to be serious. If we are now just realizing that our atmosphere is larger than they have expected, and you claim to have been to the moon, claim to have sent probes, a Soho probe to the sun. Not saying you haven't, but I'm just saying, for you to have done all this, sent probes to Pluto and all the other planets, showing you images on TV. If you've done all that, how is it that you didn't have one of those probes turn around and see and show that our atmosphere is larger than expected? If all you could really see was the blue part, even from the distance of Jupiter or even the moon shows you how the blue part looks. But anything beyond that was nothing but the blackness of our atmosphere. Okay? Now, anything beyond that should have been nothing but stars. And you would always see, this is the part that really gets me. You've always been saying, you've been talking about the Big Bang. Now, I've already talked about how the Big Bang never happened in the first place. Okay? I already said that. There was no Big Bang. Everything was already just there. So, you came up with this thing, how they said the Big Bang just pushed everything out and how it's still going. So, everything from the blue part to anything beyond the moon and the sun is the atmosphere. So you don't really know how far out this larger part of the atmosphere goes. You just know that it's pretty big. So anything beyond that is nothing but the blackness of our atmosphere. But it looks like space to you because you think that it's just the blackness of space. Anything beyond the blue part of the atmosphere is called nothingness. Anything between this part of space and that part of space, which is supposed to be the black part of the atmosphere. So that means anything from here to here, you don't know anything about. You just think this is space right here. But you claim you've only been as far as the moon. But if you've been as far as the moon, that way you would already know that this was not just one portion of the atmosphere. You would already know that this was not space that you were in. This was an atmosphere. You would have known that had you been anywhere beyond the sun, claiming you've been to all these other planets like Neptune with all these probes. If you've been past that, you would even see, just like the maps of the areas of our universe. Okay. Now, you got the Voyager probe supposedly going beyond the Earth and beyond our solar system. Yet, the Voyager probe didn't pick up the fact that our atmosphere went beyond the sun. I'm saying all that to say this again, people. Everything they're telling you, everything they came up with is a very orchestrated lie. Remember, half-truths and whole lies. Think about it. They're very smart. They've had years to come up with this stuff. That's why they got science to back them up. Because they're the ones that created all this bullshit. All the stuff they were saying as to why is it that it looks like everything is moving outward. They created all that with their own lips and their own brain because they made that shit up. Anything beyond the blue part and anything that goes beyond that, that's called the blackness of space. It's not the blackness of space. It is the atmosphere. Anything beyond what we call space is also the atmosphere. As far as anything that goes beyond the sun, that is the atmosphere as well. But whatever comes after that, they don't know. They just know that it goes beyond the sun. So that means you don't even know what space look like if you don't even know if you didn't even know that our atmosphere goes beyond the sun. You can't even get past the moon from what you've been telling us because you don't have enough fuel for that. But you show us in these movies that you can create these huge ships that can travel us way, way out there. But you ain't done none of that shit yet. Why? You want to know why? Because you don't even know what the atmosphere look like because you ain't been in space. How is it you ain't got the technology to do all that shit, but you also claim to have all the technology to see straight out there into space? You seen all these nebulas and you seen what planets look like from a distance. You seen planets being born inside the nebulas because of these little brown little puff balls with balls of light at the very top. You seen all this shit, but you ain't seen what the atmosphere look like. You just now realizing that it's bigger than you thought it was because it stretches beyond the sun. Lord. I'm just saying. We have to wake up, people. Why do we need the government if these motherfuckers don't even realize that the atmosphere stretches beyond the sun? But you know what the other planets look like. Does that make any sense to you? You know what the other planets look like and all the nebulas and stuff look like? Cepheids and exploding stars and black holes being born because it star implodes in on itself and punches a hole into time and space itself. But you don't know what the atmosphere looks like. You don't even realize that it goes beyond the sun. The fuck? Really? Seriously. These are the questions that will come up. And these are the arguments that are going to happen. Because your ass lied to your country ever since the day each one of us was born. We were born into all these damn lies. Once again, program. We were born into it because nobody even knows how far back this shit stretches. But they had to just keep coming up with stories. They're coming up with stories to keep the lie going. And see, when you come up with one story, it stretches so far out to see if someone's going to try and catch on to it. They're going to keep trying to figure out, is it true or not? Then when they find out it's true, they create another lie to keep the lie going. They say, okay, you hit a dead end. So now you got to keep searching. So they creating more lies and more lies and more lies. From the 50s, ever since the doggone Roswell incident. Ever since. That's all they've been doing is creating lies. Because once they realized that it hit the ground and everybody found out about it. But here's the problem. They weren't even they didn't have a task force to search the skies to make sure no aliens were coming into the atmosphere. Okay? Because they didn't know. Think about it. All these things that they claim they've been doing. You know. Think about it. They didn't even know about aliens or that they would actually crash land here until somebody from that town in Roswell, New Mexico, called them. Had they not said anything, this man could have had a national monument sitting in his backyard. I would have took up all that stuff that you can bend up and it'll unfoil. I would have been using that stuff as a freaking breastplate. You know, I could have created the world's very first bulletproof, waterproof, burn-proof armor. Okay? Now, the question is, how did you make it? You're going to be wondering why. And I'm like, that's a trade secret I cannot tell you. They'll try to test it. They can't test it because they can't even penetrate it. It's just that strong. The molecules are woven so tight, you can't even break through with it with fire. You can't break through it with a diamond or a drill. No matter how hard you press down on it, you'll break the drill. That's how strong that shit was. You bend it up, you ball it up, and it unfoils like as if you never even touched it. Now, like I said, had they not said anything to the government saying, oh, we got this ship out here that crash landed and there's a body out here, I don't know what it is, can you come see the job, fill an experiment or whatever? They come out realizing, oh, we got an alien. Now we got another big secret to cover up. So they come out, they clean up everything from here to Timbuktu. Because they had a line of people that stretched from one end of that field to the other. And they all walked inch by inch picking up shit. And when they filled it up, they went back, got another bag, went back in the same spot to make sure they didn't miss a step. I think what they did was, as soon as one person filled it up, they stopped. He walked back to wait so he'll know it. So he'll know exactly where he need to be. Make sure he didn't drop nothing out of that bag. He went back. They started picking up more. When they filled it up, that's what they kept doing. They kept doing it until they picked up everything they could. Then they put the shit in the truck, dragged it off, put it in the bunker. Nobody ain't never seen it again. Now they threatening all these motherfuckers, all these people, all these innocent, nice people. You know what I'm saying? If you don't shut up, we're gonna take you out into the desert and nobody ever see you again. They have said that. Mufon told people that, on the show, on the Science Channel. So I'm just saying, these people cover up the truth, but they try to leak out what they don't want you to know piece by piece. So they're letting you know that they are a bunch of liars. If I can come up with those kind of questions, which will cause a lot of arguments to form, especially even on TV when they have to do a press conference. Because think about it, something that big, there's gonna be a press conference coming, and they're gonna start asking questions. It was like, how is it that you people didn't know that the atmosphere stretches beyond the sun, but you showing everybody all these photos of nebulas and Cepheus and stars blowing up and black holes being formed, and you showing us the image of the earth from the moon, but yet you don't even realize that the atmosphere goes beyond the sun. I don't get it. So if you don't know what the atmosphere looks like, that means you don't really know what the earth looks like. You showing us a bunch of false images. Why? Somebody in the audience gonna say that, and they gonna have to answer. Now I'm pretty sure they're gonna come up with a whopper. I'm pretty sure. Everybody makes mistakes, and hopefully this won't be when who's in the chair. Everybody makes mistakes. For 50 fucking damn years, dude. Really? You made a mistake for that long? No, you didn't make a damn mistake. Your ass lied to the entire world, making people think that the atmosphere stopped at the blue part. And all those spacewalks that you did was actually in the black part of the atmosphere. Okay? You was thinking this. So you making it sound like y'all ass didn't know. But you had to have known. If you knew what the blue part looked like, you had to have known. If you the one that was putting all these things out there. But here's the thing, you didn't. So if you knew all this stuff out there, I would think you would have known. I'm pretty sure those things would have turned back and said, oh wait, this is actually the atmosphere of the earth. But you thinking all that stuff, all that blackness is space. So if you didn't know that the atmosphere stretched beyond the sun, how was it that you know about how all that other stuff looks out there? How is it that you know what Jupiter looks like? How is it that I found out that Jupiter has 2 red spots on it, but you didn't tell nobody that? You never mentioned that one time that Jupiter had 2 red spots. How is it that you said one of the other gas ball planets had 2 spots where the storms were forming at, but one disappeared after a couple of months because the main one is the one that kept going. They kept going, like the one that has been active for 300 years. Well, as far as the time when I heard about that when I was growing up. So 300 years then, that was 300 years. So now it's probably 350, 40, 60, 40, 50, 60, maybe 100. I don't know, maybe it's 400 years. I'm pretty sure it's already been a decade since then. I don't know, but still. These are the questions that are going to come up, my people. So, I'm going to spend an hour you've been hearing on me talking just one topic, but this is a very important topic that everybody needs to know about because you need to understand the kind of questions that's going to come up about all this shit. They're going to end up basically telling the world that they lied to them from day one. Now, if nobody figured that out yet, you're going to find out from here. Y'all gonna be the only ones that know. And then when they say that we made a mistake, how you make a mistake that big? Yet you knew what all these other planets and all the other stuff out there looks like, but you didn't realize that the atmosphere stretched beyond the sun. Y'all, the scientists, y'all the ones that got all the answers, but you didn't have the answer to that. That's gonna come up at some point, and if it don't, that's because they hushed their ass up. They didn't want them to answer those questions. They didn't want them to ask that question. So they're probably going to have all the questions controlled so that the wrong question won't get out to where they won't have to answer that question. Oh yeah, because see, we're talking about a press conference. We don't know what goes on beyond those cameras. All you do is hear them come up there. You see the president of the United States in front of the podium, or somebody somebody from NASA, or somebody who works for the science division of the White House, coming up there giving a press conference saying that we made a mistake. How you make a mistake about that, but you know what all of the other parts of space look like? How is it that the scientists that work at the Hubble the scientists that work at the Keck telescope didn't know this? How come the scientists at freaking Caltech didn't know this? They're the ones that's showing us all these other images, but you didn't know that the atmosphere stretched beyond the sun? Somebody's lying here. Everybody's lying, but it's a trickle effect. The first person that didn't tell you that is the one that created the lie. For some reason, that was a very important thing that didn't need to be told. So they kept that out of all of the science. So the science built up around this truth, and it got buried under all of this stuff, and it came up as the blue part was the edge of the atmosphere. Anything beyond that was outer space. That truth got buried so deep, nobody knew about it for years. Then all of a sudden, boom! The power of the truth got so intense for all of that blockage, all of that clutter. It literally just broke through all of that thickness, all of that 50 years of lies and buried, it just broke through all of it. It just burnt through it, blasted through like one of those Kamehameha blasts from Dragon Ball Z, and blasted through, and the truth got exposed. But it got exposed by them telling you, oh, the truth is that the atmosphere is larger than we actually expected. Than you actually expected. You know what that also says? That means your behind ain't been into space. Because if you did, you could have at least turned that darn probe around just to see what the black part looked like, or if you could even see it. If you're in the blackness of space. Just saying. If it stretches beyond the sun, you don't really know how far out it stretches. Our own sun and moon is within our atmosphere, people. Just saying. So, another question is going to come up. So, if y'all don't know what the earth looks like, how is it that y'all know that the earth spins? How is it that you're telling us that the sun, because at first they said that, okay, the earth or the sun is the center of the universe because this is where life is. This is where the humans are. We are the dominant species. Okay. Then they said, no, the sun is not the center of the earth. Okay. Second lie. That they, somebody probably called them out and now they had to say that. See, I think that's the reason why all these things keep changing, because somebody called them out. They started asking questions, so they had to come up with another lie to cover up the one they already told. Okay, so now they're saying, okay, now the earth is not the center, or the sun is not the center of the universe, or of our universe. Okay, another thing that they didn't know. Now, so now that they know this, turns out to be a lie, so now they got to come up with another. Now that you know that, now you're telling us that the earth orbits around the sun. So you know all this stuff. You got probes being sent outside of the atmosphere. You got satellites hovering above the atmosphere, but really you just got them hovering above the blue part. Okay? You doing all this stuff. You sending probes like the Soho to the sun. You sending probes to all these other planets, but you don't know that the atmosphere stretches beyond the sun. But you know that the earth orbits around the sun. And you see how everything spins very slowly. And you see how the moon tends to not stay in the same spot when you're looking at it through a telescope. Now, you know that the earth orbits around the sun. But yet, I see the moon doing more moving than the sun is. Than the earth is. I would think if the earth was able to spin, we ain't gonna feel it. So y'all know this. So y'all can come up with every scientifical fact, fake fact that you can. You come up with all these things. Okay, the earth spins. That's the reason why the moon moves the way it does. That's the reason why the sun sets the way it does. Yeah, you didn't know that the atmosphere stretches beyond the sun, but you know that that the earth rotates. That's the reason why the moon moves the way it does, and that's the reason why the sun sets the way it does. You also know that the sun is a very hot object. But now you're telling people that it's not as hot as you've been saying. I mentioned that too in one of my videos, I believe. If I didn't, I might have mentioned it to someone in a comment, or I mentioned it to someone on Facebook message. But I did mention it. And of course, if you guys didn't know this because I might not have said it, I hope I did. And if you have watched the video where I did talk about all this stuff, you know that I did mention it. So if you know now, you know you heard it from me. So all these things that they claim that they did, yet all these things keep popping up that they, where they said, oh, they made a mistake. Now they're talking about how they seen all these things happen in space. What they seen happen in space broke the laws of physics. They don't understand how all this happened. Yet you don't know or didn't know that our atmosphere stretches beyond the sun. Yet you knew all that stuff. You knew that there's something going out there in space that's happening, and it goes beyond the laws of physics. That's because the laws of physics don't go beyond our atmosphere. That's why. Anything that goes beyond the atmosphere is something that just happens. That is the way it was created to do. That is what it was created to do. To just happen the way it does. Okay? We don't have an answer for all that because our physics doesn't explain that. You want to know why? Because your ass ain't been past the atmosphere. You haven't been out there to understand all that stuff. You'll never understand it. You want to know why? Because maybe you're not meant to understand that. You obviously weren't meant to understand that the atmosphere goes beyond the sun. So if you weren't meant to know that up until now, that means you weren't meant to know anything that goes beyond that is space. But you don't know what goes beyond the sun. You don't know how far out the atmosphere stretches. If the atmosphere is inside of the atmosphere, that means it would have to be pretty high up still. So that means there's still another portion of this dark layer that goes beyond the sun. You're not meant to know this information. You're meant to know this, what you telling us about, which I already knew about. You're not meant to know what goes beyond space because, once again, you ain't been there. So that means if you don't know what your own atmosphere looks like, our atmosphere looks like, that means you ain't been in space. Obviously, you're not meant to go there, so stop trying. Stay here on the earth. This is where you were meant to be. This is what you're tethered to. That's why you always end up coming back, because this is home. You ever think of that? The Creator created us to be human beings that live here on a three-dimensional plane, which is what we call Earth. We're not humans who are created to go into space. I'm just saying. We're not humans who are meant to travel through wormholes, to go to these other places and come back with the answers. That's the reason why these people go in there and never come back. They don't know that. But they find out once they get to another level, and then somebody greets them and helps their mind cope that they can't return home to their families and friends and children. They can't see their kids grow up anymore because they can't go home. There's no way to control the journey back. That's why I like Sliders, that TV show that came on the Science Channel and on Fox years ago back in the 1990s, like 1995, something like that. Because a lot of the show spoke the truth, but it was largely twisted and fabricated and flipped to make a story for a TV show. A lot of truths in it and a lot of false truths in it. Like the fact that if a wormhole opens up, you get sucked into it and you'll end up on another level somewhere. to where you will see a place that looks completely identical to your earth as far as the trees. Let's say you may not end up in the same place that you were just at on another level. You may just end up in a wooded area somewhere. You may end up in the water somewhere. Who knows? You never know what's going to happen once you get there. But the truth of the matter is, once that doorway closes, that's it. You're stuck there. Why do you think people do not return home? That is why, people. Sometimes these portals open up all over the place, and the dark ones are the ones that keep them open. They don't care if we end up walking right into one, because they don't like us. They don't want us here. That's the reason why you hear so much about abductions. That's the reason why you hear so much about people's faces looking like they got burned off after they was abducted by an alien. That's the reason why you hear about so many women crying because they took their baby out of their stomach. You know, they do a lot of harsh things. These are the dark ones. The ones that show you images of the earth if we don't get our act straight are the ones that are actually here to help us. Those are the interdimensional beings. I mean, they all are. They're just different classifications. You have the dark ones and the interdimensional beings that are here to help us in a lot of ways. But there are certain ones that are purposed to be helped by them, to give them answers. They were supposed to have that moment. Some aren't. Some just happen to be the ones who are abducted by them. You know, and I'm not showing these things. You hear so much about mutilation. You hear about semen being taken from men so they can create human hybrids who are actually their children that they cannot raise because they would never survive living here on Earth. So many things I've heard about over the years. Okay? Wow. 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 50 seconds, and I'm still talking. But I'm giving you useful information, folks. Useful information about UFOs, about all the information that I've heard about over the years, and I know you've heard about it too. You know? So, I even had my run-in with, you know, the black-eyed children ones. Yep. I was coming home from the grocery store around 3-something in the morning. You know, get in and get out kind of thing. I look over in the far corner of an adjacent complex, or unit, that is. I saw a short-figured person in a gray hoodie with the hood off, just standing there on the side of this apartment unit. And it just stood there. He didn't say anything. He didn't try to move. He just stood there. And I knew exactly what it was. So I rushed in the house as much as I could. I didn't see it until I got the last bit of my, last bit of my groceries in the house at that time. You know, so that's why I don't do that no more. You know, they can't come in the house unless you invite them. So I don't have to worry about that. You know, because I would never do that. Even if you're outside, it would never happen. You know. But anyway, guys, I'm gonna get off this YouTube channel. I'll let you guys get some sleep, and y'all can watch this whenever y'all at y'all leisure. If y'all a bunch of night hawks, you can watch it. If it's morning where you at, you can watch it again because I'm posting it. You're gonna see it. You're gonna love it. This is Insane Disappearances, talking about our brand new, larger than ever atmosphere that they did not know about, supposedly. It's the biggest crock of spoot I ever heard. Please. They're supposed to be the ones that know all the answers and got all the answers, but they didn't know that. See? They just lying on themselves, making themselves look even more stupid than they already have been. Anyway, guys, once again, I'm gonna end this. So I'm gonna end it the way I always do. You know how I do it every time. You know how I do it. I put up this one, the shaka sign. I put up this one, another shaka sign. And I say what? I say what? I say aloha. So you know the words can come up at the bottom. Mahalo and ahuiho. That means till we meet again. Ahuiho. Okay? Or ahuiho. That's how they say it. Ahuiho. Or ahuiho. Just gotta get that in. Ahuiho. Like that. Till we meet again. Alright, guys. Peace out. Love you. Let's do this.